Welcome, everyone, to Community Spotlight Black Women in Business, where we want to highlight and feature Black women thriving in business. My name is Carrie Gray, and I am the Adult and Senior Services Specialist for Prince George's County Memorial Library System. I have with me today Ella Rose Preston and Tia Hill. And let me give you a background on these ladies. Ella Rose Preston is the CEO of J. Elise Tea Beverage Company, founded in 2016 under the health and wellness umbrella of the Figure Eight Strategies LLC. Ella Rose is a health and wellness advocate hailing from Detroit, Michigan. She worked in municipal government for 13 years, providing wellness programming for residents and the workforce. There's no wonder she found the healing properties of hibiscus, which led to the development of J. Elise Tea's inaugural and most popular flavor, heart tea hibiscus, which comes in sweet and unsweet varieties. Now, Tia Hill is from the DMV area. She is no stranger to business ownership. She is a serial entrepreneur. Not only is she the owner of the Popcorn Bag DC, but also the Mosley Medical Group and the Grant and Nasia Hill Foundation. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
How are you ladies doing today?
Doing good.
Well,
Well,
Good, good, good.
how are you?
I'm good. I am good. I'm so happy to have you ladies here. These are two businesses that I've actually have supported in the area. So I'm so glad to have you on. So I guess we'll start with Ella Rose and we can just kind of, I guess, go in that order. Um, Tell me about your business, the services you offer, and what makes your business unique.
Okay. First of all, thank you for thinking of me and having me on this program. I'm honored. Um, so, J. Lee's Tea is a beverage company. It produces delicious and healthy artisanal bottled tea. I have three flavors: Hearty Hibiscus, which comes in sweet and unsweet, and then I have a Royal Tea, which is a white tea base with lemon balm and pineapple. And I would say what makes us unique right now is that my inaugural flavor, the Hearty Hibiscus, has a flavor profile and is so robust. There's nothing like it on the market. No hibiscus tea that you'll find on the shelves today tastes like J. Lee's Tea's Hearty Hibiscus. You know, that's just it. That's what's unique at this point. I uh, have a heart for health and wellness, and I wanted to present a healthy option, a healthier beverage option to the community. So when you're tired of, drinking your water, you need a little something different, but you don't want to go to pop or a real sugar laden juice. That tea can be the in between, but it's not so unsweet or um, so
So sweet.
unflavorful that how sometimes teas can taste. It's like, what is this?
Yeah, well, and it's
So
not
it's still
necessarily that southern tea.
no, it's moderately sweet, but it's sweetened with honey. So there's benefit there. I don't use white sugar, and of course, looking to do some even healthier things in the future. So I
Awesome.
say the flavor is unique.
Awesome. Indeed, indeed. Go ahead, Tia. My addiction, y'all, the popcorn addiction.
um, so I have a gourmet popcorn bar. We specialize in over 300 flavors, and we also do cheesecakes, and we are known for our bundt cakes. Um, I am a healthy moment in a thought, um, but I am very much so with our popcorn. Is probably, I would honestly like to say, some of the best in the DMV. I make everything from scratch in our store, and it is absolutely amazing, and it's fun, and I get to meet so many amazing people.
Awesome, awesome. So, tell me what led you to starting your business, Tia. We'll start with you because I know you have a lot of different businesses, but really, what led you to start the popcorn bag?
So when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, as most people know, you don't just hit one and it's like, oh wow, this is the one that takes off.
Mhm.
But when one of my businesses, I actually started a gourmet popcorn line as a product. So from that line, I then was like, wow, I want to own a store. And that is how the Popcorn Bag DC actually came about, because it was from a previous business endeavor where I had my own gourmet popcorn line.
Hey, all right. And Miss Ella Rose.
I think I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I remember, I don't know, back in elementary school, making those little plastic keychains, that you would like braid over
Oh,
under.
yes.
I was
I
making
remember
those
those.
and selling them, girl. I had to take the little deposit slips from the bank, the little carbon copy
Uh-huh.
deposit slips and make people receipts and stuff. So I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. But what led me to Jaylee's Tea is I love tea. And so I would always go to, different events and things, or have little shindigs at my house and whip up some kind of tea or chai or something, anything. And people was always, oh my God, this is so good. What's the recipe? Da da da. But over 10 years ago, I was suffering with hypertension and I was on blood pressure medication. I was really upset about it. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm too young for this. And so I looked for natural interventions to address it. And so one of the things I found was that drinking hibiscus tea, I found scientific evidence that revealed that drinking hibiscus tea on a daily basis could help lower your blood pressure, keep your cholesterol in healthy range, and um, give your immune system a boost because of its high vitamin C content. So that was why I started drinking hibiscus tea. And at a vision board party a few years ago, 2016 or so, I whipped up a hibiscus tea, and all the girls was like, "Girl, you need to bottle this." And then I was like, "Well, you know what? Why not? Let me lean into it and see what happens." And so I went into the lab, the kitchen, came up with something that I thought was good, and just tested it out on the market. I was selling, pouring in cups at the farmers markets and things. Then I got some bottles. Then I got some labels, that
Yeah.
type of thing. So I guess what inspired me was my love for tea, and its healing properties.
Awesome. Awesome. So, I guess in relationship to you all's area of expertise, um, what did your career path kind of look like? I guess what some of the things you've done, what kind of has helped in a way. I guess we can start with Ella Rose.
Uh,
Come on,
so
tell it all. Tell it all.
it's interesting. Like, I'm a firm believer that you explore, and anything that catches your attention that you feel like you might be interested in, try it out. And you never know how those things line up. So I've been working in public service for municipal government for about 13 years. But in the backdrop of that, I was teaching belly dance classes. I was doing waist beads and teaching waist bead workshops, and then here comes this tea business. And so what I know about myself is that I have a heart for women and a heart for Black women in particular, empowering them and helping and advocating for their optimal well-being. And so all those things kind of fell in line with that. So um, I did wellness programming for the city that I worked for. And I felt like the belly dance and the waist bead empowerment was about wellness as well. So I guess that if I were to try to line it up and put it all in a lane, that would be kind of what my career path looked like. Although when I went to school, undergrad, I was a chemistry pre-med
Oh,
major.
wow.
I wanted to be a
Mhm.
psychiatrist at that time. But then I found out that I hated labs. I hated labs. And I wasn't doing well.
Mhm.
So I ended up changing my major to international business. I was like, what can I do? What can I do? I'm scrambling. Well, I know I like to travel and I know I got an entrepreneurial spirit. So it's just funny how things line up. That was at Howard. Then I went and got a master's in nutrition and integrative health. So yes,
Oh,
explore. And you'll be amazed
okay.
at how it might line up in the end, or, at certain points in your life.
Awesome. Tia, what about you?
So my background is medical medicine. Um, and I absolutely love medicine. That is my first love. Everyone who really knows me knows that. I've been practicing for a few years, but it is one of those things that I enjoy to the part that when you're going through understanding business, especially on the entrepreneurial side, there's parts that you're not taught in the medical world. You're not taught about understanding how to run a business. You're taught more about how to help people and how to serve and make life changing decisions, but you don't have the conversations of multiple streams of income. We don't discuss the fact that we are ever changing. So the way that medicine started a few years ago, when I say a few years ago, I'm talking about 10, 20 years, we are now going into an AI season where artificial intelligence, how we're having this meeting now via a Zoom or different things, everything is elevating and changing at a rapid pace. And for me, one of those things in business was to make sure that I was able to always be able to sustain a certain lifestyle, but also be able to really create generational wealth for my children's children, and then as well for my community and patients that I worked with and different things. I still to this day see the gap in understanding business and being an entrepreneur versus being a business owner. I always say to people, it looks cute on the outside, but there's this thing called brick and mortar, and it is real. So when people find out my background, I try very hard to lead with who I am first versus the titles. This is me, because my titles do not change who I am. At the end of the day, I put my pants on the same way that everyone else does. And I believe that one of the things that we should do is understand it, to whom much is given, much is required. And so in entrepreneurship, in business ownership, we should be teaching, we should be elevating, we should be showing from ourselves to our staff, to our customers, what this looks like and how it should go. The background that I have has also allowed me to look at people from a different perspective. So I don't look at you as a dollar sign. I look more at you like a person. Like, what is it that we really need to do to tap in to fix the issue? And that's probably why popcorn is probably in this season, the joy with everyone being in the house during a pandemic, being stuck, forced to be in a situation that you have nothing in your control to control, and having life constantly hitting blows and daggers every 15 minutes. I'm able to say, pop on through, get something sweet. If you want the red velvet, it can maybe take you back to your grandma. Lemon pound to your favorite auntie. It's just something to give something different, but to try to understand what business is in this season is not what it was this season, this time last year.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. It's very interesting to see how y'all have very kind of different backgrounds, but that still kind of helped you and provided a nice, I guess we'll say, foundation for you all
Mm-hmm.
to kind of propel forward in business. Now, specifically in relation to your business and what you're doing, have you had to receive any other certificates, or did it require did you take any classes, or did you do anything else in relation to your business? I guess
Me?
I guess we can start with Tia and then we
Oh.
can go to LRO.
So actually, yeah.
Mm,
I had to go from medical to food service.
okay.
And that was a eye opener, not an
Mhm.
opener. No. Like I was like, whoa. Like I have a whole newfound respect for the food service industry. From the food service management to even cleaning the building, the floors, preparation. Like there's a lot of things that I will say I took for granted prior to now actually understanding the equipment, everything, the different levels of certifications, understanding the licensure, the food handler's license. It was a lot of different things that I honestly did not think it was going to entail on that side until it came time to really get everything up and running. I was like, oh, wow. So I did. I went through a whole food service industry learning 101, and break down. And I have a huge level of respect for that industry. Huge.
Yeah, I have to agree with Tia. I've thought to myself, what was I thinking going into the
Mm-hmm.
beverage industry? Do I have any experience in the beverage industry? So when it came down to the food handling licensure and all those procedures and processes you have to follow to make sure you're running a clean operation and that is safe. Um, I guess those are the kind of certifications that I've had to, similar to you, um, have had to do, and it's a process. It's not like just do that, you know it's a class, it's a those types of things. It's an uh
Yes.
allergy class.
Yeah.
But you do it because you want to be safe. Like, you want to we want to dot our i's and cross our t's.
Above board.
I want to be on point. I want to have a safe product. And the learning in it, learning how you process in particular a beverage, and the dangers and that could arise from how you process it. So
Mm-hmm.
that there was a big learning curve. It was very interesting, and just gives even more reason to stay in alignment with those certificates, those
Right.
safety precautions, those hygiene, sanitation, production certificates and licensures that we have to do, with the state, with the health department,
Mm-hmm.
and those types of things.
That's good. That's I definitely wanted to highlight that because I know a lot of people think, oh, I can just sell a plate or I can just do that. But I think it's important to highlight, the additional steps that you go through for quality assurance, for safety, for control, portions for that. Go ahead, Tia.
So since you tapped into that, there's this word called liability.
Mhm.
And no, I'm being very serious. It's,
Mhm.
it's something that we don't like to talk about, but it's something that we do need to discuss. Prior to COVID, the level of sanitation and hygiene, increased awareness should have already been in place. And it should continue to be in place post COVID. I think that we think that, oh, I can make something out of my home because I have a gift or a skill. But as Ella said, it's understanding that there's so much more that goes with this and staying above board and really trying to make sure that you are giving out quality and creating a standard. I think one of the things that our community does, this is just my opinion, is that sometimes we think I can just do it real quick or I can do it better than you. And so when she was speaking on how the reason for her making her tea was because of her hypertension, there's something that she put in that she had to learn, that she had to study, the side effects to the medicine. Like, there's so many different parts to that. And then making sure that she's able to implement that to benefit other people. We don't think about that. We don't talk about that. And it's vital because that is how we're able to stay sustained. And I really like the fact that you touched on it, because I know for me, in taking those classes, there was things that I learned that I now for when I go into another person's establishment. I look to see I look now. Your stainless steel, is there sanitation? Are you like the sanitizer? How are you cleaning? There's so much that I look at now that ignorance is bliss. And I didn't look at it before because I didn't even know that those were all the criterias that we were supposed to have in place.
Thank you. I thank you for speaking on that. Like I said, we want to highlight that. And like you said, you want to reduce your liability. You want to make sure that you have the proper things that are in place. So, what has really, I guess, surprised you about the process of starting your business? Did you have any surprises or anything you didn't realize going into the business? I guess whoever wants to answer first.
I can go first. I think Tia been going first all the time. I give her a little break. Um, I would say for me, um, the depth of the various processes that I've had to go through were a surprise to me. I thought that things would happen a little quicker. I planned that things would happen a little quicker, whether it was my state licensure, whether it's my inspection with the health department, whether it was getting my labels together with my barcode and my, every little thing just seems to take longer than I thought. And so now that I know that, I'm building my flexibility muscle. even more, and just expecting that, this is my plan, but it may end up looking a little different by the end of this at completion. So, just having to build the muscle of flexibility and, not getting all uptight about it and, oh, I plan to launch by March 3rd. And you got to chill with all of that and roll with it sometimes and be at peace. Like, that's the other thing. We know stress kills. If I were to stress so heavily on every situation, on everything that didn't go as I planned it, I'd probably be laid out on the floor somewhere. So I think that was surprising for me, that things just, the process was longer than I expected.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Good stuff.
I definitely agree, especially in our lovely county. You got to just get to that place where you're at peace with what it is. And she's right. Like I can, in my brain, I can say, hey, we doing something March 1st, and there's a blizzard and everything is held up and life goes on, and you don't get the shipment or the package till 3 weeks after the event. Like, what can you do at this point? But you got to just keep going with the punches and be at peace with it. Stress does kill. And I think after you have your first good situation where you really realize it is above me, there's nothing I can do, you just let it be what it is.
Good stuff. I think that's very important because we're highlighting Black women in business. And, with women, the stress that, I guess that tiger spirit of entrepreneurship. Oh, I want this launch date and I want that launch date. So I think that's very important about managing your expectations and controlling what you can control, because when you have to work with outside entities and, deal with their process and stuff being held up, I think that's very key to hold in mind. And I think that's very good. I think a lot of people might help them manage their expectations, but also know that, maybe they need something in place too. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you might just not be able to start up right in making the money and everything going as planned. So I think that's very key to know. So adding on to that, what did you find very difficult about the process to starting up, and how, I guess it's kind of along in the same line, but how were you really able to overcome that? I know me and Tia, you talked about how dealing with concessions in Prince George's County. If you want to kind of insert that if you can, because you are the first gourmet popcorn owner of this. So if you can kind of talk about, like, I guess the difficultness and how you were able to overcome that, I think that would be helpful.
Okay. One, construction in Prince George's County, as it is a known fact, is a very staggered process in Prince George's County. When I per se was going through my permitting process, I happened to go through right after the lawsuit towards MGM. So in going through that, the criteria, the requirements, the things that they needed for you to have in doing a build out it changed. Literally, it changed overnight. And then from there, I also was going through, then after going through that process, I then was doing build out during the pandemic. So I went from one small pandemic to a natural disaster. And I had to understand and how to figure out how to maneuver, as well, along with regulations and coding. They had never seen some of the equipment that I utilized to make gourmet popcorn. So going through fire, safety, electrical, it was a lot of different steps that had to be put in and reviewed again and reviewed again, which I understand, but I was not prepared for mentally, I was not prepared for the length of time that it took. As originally, my expectations was, I'm gonna walk this in, they're gonna give me like a stamp, whatever they say I need, I'm gonna get that and I'm gonna walk out. And that was not the case. And then that is where my managing of my expectations had to get checked, because I realized I'm handing you this piece of paper and it is no longer in my hands. And that process can go anywhere from 24 hours to 7 months. So at that point, you still have to keep things moving, and you have to understand that, you know, it was very, I don't want to say complicated in a sense of not being able to complete it, but it was very complicated going back and forth, back and forth. And I'm asking questions, they're asking me questions. I'm trying to figure out, so what does the health department need with this? What type of licensure do you need? Because they had never seen or experienced a gourmet popcorn bar, there's different levels to your food license. So there's a high, a low, a moderate. So we literally were going through the evaluation of where do we rank this business, and how do we place this business, and what type of credentials do we give this business? So it has been a learning process for me, as well as with Prince George's County. We have a great relationship now, but it has been a year and a half in the making. I will tell anyone that is trying to do this or wants to do something, especially if you're the first person to do it, make sure you have a good support team. Make sure you have somewhere you can go and you can talk to people, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. I was taking down the name. So your inspector who? I had your name, your number, your email. I was really asking a lot of questions, because when you go to call or you're trying to follow up and you don't know who that person is that you spoke with, then your paperwork is lost in with the hundreds or other businesses that are trying to do the exact same thing as you.
I'm bowing to you, Tia. I'm bowing.
Did you guys go through a build out?
No, but I managed the farmers market for about 5 years in Prince George's County. And I just know what I had to go through every year with the fire marshal, with the, the inspector, the health department, all these different things and how it fluctuated. So I can only imagine your experience. So hats off to you. I know that was.
Thank you. What did you learn? What would you say in going through the health department? Like, what was that thing? What's that thing that you learned? Like your biggest lesson? What was that?
Relationship. So having the names and the contact information, calling and following up. The relationships that I had with the inspector, with the fire marshal, that became important. Even when things were staggered and inconsistent on that end, there was no attitude for me. It was like, oh, now I have to do this? Okay, fine. Inspector such and such and such and such, and tell me, so I think it was the relationship. And, a lot of times people don't talk about how important relationship is in business. It's important. It's important, just like, the revenue and the dividends and all of those things. So I because it was always something. It was always something else. It was like, oh, okay, well, inspector, blah, 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 and so they began to know me and we began to know each other. So it just made, whatever had to be done, period. But it just seemed to make things just a little bit easier, like smooth things over a little bit because of that rapport that had been built.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I don't know. I think I was just going to say that the difficult thing for me with regard to J. Lee's Tea was the licensing and understanding that process. I thought I understood it. I put in my paperwork, which took however long that took, longer than I thought, like, oh, this is a lot. Get it back and then be like, okay, now you're ready for the next steps, which was another process of, getting your HACCP plan together, your hazard analysis, your SOPs, or whatever that, whatever they required, and then another few $100s or so. And so it was like, oh, I didn't know this was a next step. I thought we'd be done with that first thing I needed.
Yeah.
I would say that was challenging for me as far as startup. And I think maybe because of my experience managing a farmer's market in Prince George's County, I was a little bit primed and ready for, the ups and downs. So my response wasn't so like, oh my God. It was like, okay.
So I wasn't prepared for Prince George's County because I've normally worked in Virginia and DC.
That's why I'm bound to you.
Are totally different.
Wow.
And every business now that I have, this is the first time I've ever had businesses and brick and mortar in Prince George's County. I was not prepared at all. I just thought it was like, DC does it one way, Virginia does it another way. And that was the biggest shocker for me. It's night and day.
Yeah.
That's good
Hold
to
on,
know.
keep going.
Yes, that's good to
Got
know.
it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
said what is good to know?
I said that's good to know. Like, I think because you have experiences and maybe that other entrepreneurs people who already done it, like, you know, learn in that municipality or learn in that state's
Hmm.
whatever, their process. Some states are further ahead, some people aren't. So I think that's kind of good. And I think we're speaking a lot to managing those expectations, and I think there's this one thing of, oh, starting a business is easy, working for myself, I can do it. But I think when you're looking at doing your stuff the correct way, going through the proper channels, it's a lot of process and a lot of things you got to take into consideration. And I think that's good. That is good information for people to know who are maybe looking to expand their business and everything else like that. But to make the connections with people, to get those names, to get the information so you can contact people, I think that's very good. So on that instance, what is some of, you can either give me best or both, best or worst advice you've ever received about business entrepreneurship? Like, this was good advice, or this was like the worst advice I ever received?
I don't know. I can't recall a time where I felt like I got the worst advice or maybe even the best advice, honestly. It's been such a journey and a learning um, journey. Uh, but what I will say is that everybody has, the level of unsolicited advice. Somebody will tell you in a minute, oh, you should just do this, and you should just do that, and you should just do this. And this is like, the answer is always thank you, because most time it's coming from a place of love and well intention. So the answer is always, thank you, I hadn't considered that, or thank you, I'll consider that. But it never ceases to amaze me, how people will tell you what you just should do, and they really don't know what's all involved in that just. Oh, you should just add this flavor. Okay, well, how does that affect how I produce, and building of germs and pathogens and stuff, and building a new label. So I just find that always very interesting, and honestly it's annoying sometimes, but I'm clear with myself, Ella Rose. The answer is always thank you, I'll consider that. It's not thank you when you get your beverage company, you do it and let me know how it goes.
Right.
Which might be what I'm thinking, but the answer is always thank you.
Can't say.
That's a nice way. I like the way you handle that. I think unsolicited advice. Oh my goodness, I understand that totally. What
Yeah,
about
most
you,
people are just
Tia?
trying to help,
Oh yeah, I agree.
Sometimes. Um, so honestly, I will say I've definitely had some unsolicited advice that was bad. When I really did not understand business, I was taking advice from people who self-proclaimed to be business owners or in business that really were not. And I followed some of the things that they stated, and it cost me financially. Because, this is my situation for me. When I was trying to get out of medical to understand business and shifting networks, I was meeting a lot of people who were either on social media that are saying they were like business coaches or business experts. And I was really trying to like figure out and navigate, okay, can you tell me some things? And that some of the information that they gave me was more for it wasn't to sustain and build. It was more like after 3 or 4 people had told me their why, like you got to know your why, it wasn't the level of implementation, execution. I was not getting the skills or being told how do you execute from your why to the next level. That was me. And so that was something that I had to do a lot of research and then really just start studying and really making a conscious effort to get to the place or in the rooms where it was more about execution for me. And that's where it started to shift for me, because I realized my visions or what I wanted to do was a lot bigger. And with me wanting to have something else, it wasn't the safe zone. So, you know, when I originally said I wanted to do popcorn, I went to about 50 people and I was like, I want to do this. I want to do it. Okay, whatever. Never, you know, and I was asking questions and it wasn't of interest. It didn't pique anyone's interest. It was like, it's popcorn. So who cares about that? And I had to do a lot of research and learning. And I had to go out the area. It wasn't a thing where I was in Maryland and DC. I had to travel. I had to go to other places and study to understand that, to get the information that I needed. As Ella Rose said, the unsolicited advice is every day. When people walk in and they're like, oh, don't you think? I do. Thank you so much. Like she said, you just smile. You laugh it off. You know, you figure out what's the good segue to say, please come back. You know, love your, you know, love everything you're saying. Hope that we're able to serve you properly. But you just start to realize that it's hard. And I think that the easiest part is for other people to sit on the outside. And I have done it myself, where you like, you look at a situation and be like, well, I would handle it this way, but you don't know all the things that we have to do. You don't understand our packaging. You don't understand how we're having stuff shipped. You don't understand storing. You don't understand ingredients. And then maintaining your price point. Like, I know for me, I'm relatively expensive, as most people say. Because I give a certain quality and a certain taste, and we make everything from scratch, my price point is still lower than what it really needs to be. And I naturally am taking another type of L so that you can understand and get your palate used to having something made from scratch, but not with preservatives. I'm sure Ella Rose understands that too. So, you know, can relate to that and explain. You're used to sugar, you're used to preservatives, you're used to a lot of chemicals. You're not used to people making stuff from scratch. So if I'm making something from scratch, if that is not the same as me getting a mix from Joe Blow for $2.16 and whipping it up and you saying, that's not the same thing. So there's so many different steps that go into implementing and creating something that, you know, when people tell you, I think you should lower your price or you should do this, you smile and you do say, okay, but it's a process to every single thing. And if you miss one step, or if I was to change the recipe, how you may ask me to, I'm going to lose 40% of my following, because then you're going to come back and say, it's not the same product. It's nasty. What did she do? But I did that to accommodate someone who wanted a cheaper product.
Yeah, let me co-sign with you on that. And I'm so with you. You know, I think I can say, and I purchased your product before, um, that we're providing a product, a service that has a level of thoughtfulness and a level
Mm-hmm.
of quality, still in a small startup space.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
know, that's not the 99-cent bag of popcorn on the bottom of the shelf at the gas station. That's not what that is. This is not the 99-cent can of tea with
Mm-hmm.
about 20 ingredients in it that you can't even pronounce. So, you know, it's our opportunity to love on our community, but also um, bring some awareness, bring some mindfulness
Mm-hmm.
about quality and what that costs. You know, some things is just worth it. You know, it's just worth it. You get what you pay for.
Mm-hmm.
This is an experience. Also, we're given an experience. I know that we both want it to be attainable and reachable for everyone, you know, and our people are our people. Those who can't jive with it, you know, they won't jive with it, and that's okay. Your people are your people. And again, to the all the, well, you should change this and you should change that. Okay, if I change that, what am I doing with those 5,000 labels that I just ordered? Hello.
Mm.
So yeah, you're getting premium products here and an experience.
And that word right there, experience, you know, I know, I try really hard, and I know that you do too, to give that. And an experience is also with talent, overhead, again, that level of understanding your liability. Um, we're talking about right now, everyone's talking about the stimulus package. And in that stimulus, which people don't want to discuss, is they're talking about taking minimum wage to $15. I'm all for it. But understand that for the small business, that 15 is really technically 13, like maybe what it's like $22 an hour for me, because I got to pay taxes on that person too as a W-2. And then the laws of paying unemployment insurance as well for Maryland that you have to do in sick leave. That's a whole nother conversation. My product and everything has to increase to continue to keep certain people employed in the community and to offer to give back. And we don't want to really break down that part of the conversation either. And you know, like when we have to pay our taxes and all of these things that we have to do to give you that experience, to hire quality people, to maintain quality products, it's real. It's very much so real. And owning a business does not mean I'm filthy rich.
I think that's important to highlight. I hear you all, and I think what I want to highlight for the people viewing is knowing. I heard someone say this, your I am statement, and this thing is, maybe this is your product statement or your company statement. Knowing who you are, knowing what you represent, knowing your quality, knowing your standard, maintaining your level of experiences, knowing all of that out and building upon that and keeping that as the focal point to maintain the integrity of your company. So I hear you all saying that, and I like that. And I also like to support businesses who are mindful. And I can definitely say, I love one thing about Ella Rose that I love is that she worked with the co-op, she's worked with farmers markets, so she's really, entrenched in the community. When you walk into Popcorn Bag DC, it's clean, it's friendly, lots of, even you can see the smiles behind the mask. Like, just the people are so much full of energy and experience. You want to sample? Do you want to taste this? Like, have you been here before? Very engaging. So that I can definitely say as a testament to you all's company. Along that line, I heard you talk about Tia going out of the state and doing a lot of different research. What resources have been helpful to you, or do you recommend to other business owners?
In what realm?
It could be from anything from either business startup to stuff in the community. What would you recommend someone do, or I guess any resources? Maybe it's a class, maybe it's a group. I know me and Ella Rose met through another group, actually in Howard County, but we met through another group. So,
you know, honestly, because there's different industries, I wouldn't particularly give a group. But what I would say, if you know that there's something that you would like to pursue, potentially find if there's a conference and go to that conference. That conference may not be cheap. The cheaper the conference, let me not say that. Let me not say that. All I would say is it'll be an investment, but go to a conference. And the reason I say that is because you're able to be in a room with thought leaders, people who are in that industry, and you're able to see the trajectory and where that industry is projected to go. So if you want to get into girdle making, go to the Spanx conference. When, get online. Like, I'm just saying, like, at least that way you can start to see that industry and you actually are the key players in that industry. And you're able, there's breakout rooms, there's different things. And then from there, a person can figure out how they want to go. For me, I feel like conferences are very, very, very informative because you're actually able to you see a lot of different, from people who are in the industry that are surviving to people who can tell you their story. You also get products. You get to taste other areas where if they have food or other girdles. I'll use an example. You'll get to see all the different girdles that they are making in Texas. to the girdles they're making in Florida. You'll just get an opportunity to touch it, that if you narrow your thoughts down to, okay, I'm in Maryland and this is all I want to do, there's so much more than Maryland. And so when you start to like, you want to elevate and start to understand the different requirements, you're not shocked when you go, when you have that opportunity, you know, like, okay, I remember I touched that girdle from Tennessee. That thing was nice. Like it had a good inside lining. So it elevates you a little bit where you're able to look at it from a different perspective. That's me, because I think every industry is different, but a good conference for me, I think would help people a long way.
I agree. Conferences and trade shows. I've been to restaurant shows, trade shows, and I got a chance to see what other tea makers were doing, to talk to distributors, so the different levels of my particular business I've been able to look at, to ask questions and be right there with the people. So start building rapport, connections, getting contact information for people. But also I would say your local small business administration office, or even your local community and economic development department within the city that you're operating. Those are good places to look. Sometimes they have loans and grants, or they have business forums that might, have information for you that's important. I've also read several books on the beverage industry. I subscribe to a couple of online magazines for the beverage industry. Obviously, I follow on social media a lot of different beverage companies and beverage industry leaders, because you want to see what everybody's doing. You want to see what the market is doing. You don't want to be somewhere and not know what the popular flavor is for the year for the beverage industry, and you have a beverage company or whatever it is. So you want to kind of have your hand on the beat, on the pulse of your industry as much as you can.
I think that's great advice. You all, I definitely threw some different stuff out there. Really entrench yourself in the industry in which you're working for. Awesome. What have you ever faced challenges due to your race or gender? And if so, please share.
I don't know that I've experienced it explicitly. I just always think about the difficulty in being a small business, small Black-owned business, and how challenging it is to access some of the grants, some of the capital, some of the, the loans, those types of resources. And maybe that's more just about being a small business. But, when they came out with the first round of the PPP loans and things, organizations like, big sandwich making organizations and things were getting that. And then they want to frown upon the small businesses who might not have got their applications in correctly or in time. But guess what? I don't have a full department that can just pull all of that together and send it through. Maybe my company is just me, or maybe my company is just 5 of us, so to me, it highlights the gap in the help, the assistance, and the equitability that we actually as small businesses receive. This many times this is the reality for small businesses. We don't have those resources, and our paperwork might not be organized to a T, because guess what? We're doing everything. We're marketing, we're advertising, we're out there with the community, we're managing our website, we're doing this, and maybe that we is only 2 or 3 people or 1 person. So that's the reality for many small businesses. So if you're really there to help support small businesses, be there to help support small businesses, not what you think an ideal small business should look like.
I agree with her 199%. One of the things for me, popcorn, and I'm gonna use only popcorn in this example, is predominantly a Caucasian industry. Especially when you go to the conferences and you see who's in the room. When you start speaking to the people who are running it, from the farmers, the basics, the farmers, and having to get equipment, you really start to understand what being a minority and a female actually looks like. So it is very humbling at times because you also have to learn how to get your honey without coming off aggressive, abrasive, arrogant, cocky. So you have to speak, hello, how are you? Thank you so much. And and it irritates you deep down inside because you understand that once my octave change and you can't see, or I say, hey, it's Miss Hill, not Tia, then it's a different conversation versus it's Tia and I'm asking for something. Hold on, we'll you back. But then when they realize how much money you may spend, because again, everything is tracked. So in the systems, as you're getting into the wholesale accounts and different things, you do see the difference from when you first start to as your account continues and they're like, oh, what do you need? But that's off of you spending a certain amount of money with them. You see the difference. On the locality side, we definitely need to get better about working with our small businesses. We have to. It should not take a pandemic for us to start talking about accounting and being able to offer and access capital. We should not have to always operate in a sense of lack for us to get to the next level. It should not be that I need you to beg and plead for something and $5,000 in business world. Yes, to some part it is a lot of money, but in the real world, when you really start understanding what these businesses, what these Fortune 500 companies are getting, they're not getting $5,000 because honestly, that's not sustaining. It's like we give little crumbs in our small business world, and especially if you are located in an inner city area, you're going to get my scraps. Where if you're on the other side of town, you're getting a huge contract or funding, and it can have the potential to be forgiven. So to piggyback off of what she said, there's a lot of work that we need to do in our communities and understanding that as she said too, the owner in small business is doing 99 jobs and then hiring someone or the three people that you have, everyone is sharing a very heavy burden. And that burden goes across the board all the time, on top of all the other delays or unexpected expectations that are given.
Thank you for highlighting that. Just so y'all know, y'all not alone. Even in the last recording, when I spoke with two other business owners, they kind of chimed in on the same thing. So it's kind of an unfortunate theme that we do see. Um, in relation to COVID now, have you all had to pivot? Have you had to change anything around? We can start with Tia.
Oh, absolutely. Shipping, Christmas, one of our huge areas of funding resources, it was canceled. Shipping was very real, and it's still very real. USPS is talking about increasing its rate and decreasing the way that they speed up their shipping levels. So that's going to go up about between 7 to 20%. And that's going to be a whole nother level. So making sure that we're able to understand that shipping aspect and component. So changing over to like a different stream where we do now more of a membership and a subscription box that we only do out once a month, and taking away the offer for our customers being able to just order online and ship. We've completely removed that so that no one can say that they didn't get their product. And that we're able to track and they know what product that we are going to ship. And I'm able to regulate the price of the shipping versus the weights. Everything has shifted. Everything. Anything that this is me. Anything that I have done prior to COVID, that's gone out the window. It is now all innovative and it is still changing. It is still pivoting because we'll be wearing masks probably for the next year and a half.
Yeah, yeah, everything has changed. I when COVID-19 hit, I had to get e-commerce together. Before that, I had not been selling online, and I had been saying, okay, I need to do that. I need to do that. And so that forced me to make that happen. So that was good in one sense. But at the time, I was in 4 retail locations and ended up losing all those locations and was not able to be out in the community. And that's something I really enjoy. Um, doing the samplings and doing different festivals and events and farmers markets and all of that. I like that. I like interacting with the people, sharing education about, health benefits related to the teas and ingredients. And that's also, how I was able to build following too, because once you taste it, most times you're gonna buy it. The pivot for me was getting that e-commerce together, and it's still very much a learning process for me as far as the shipping and how that costs and what's appropriate. Tea is heavy, and how much are people willing to pay, and how much am I going to take on, and is this really cost effective? Tea is heavy. It's heavy. So that's another thing, like does this make sense?
Yeah, that
In the long
e-commerce piece. Woo.
Huh?
I said that e-commerce piece is hard. I think it has forced so many people to make sure that they have one accessibility online, and oh my, it's making e-commerce essential. Like you have to have some way to connect. I know, like Tia, I follow Popcorn Bag DC. I actually follow both of you online, but I know I'm looking like, what's the update? What's the popcorn flavor this week, or what's going on? And even now, like how we faced in the different storms, we can see, hey, is your business open? What's going on? Is your business going through some kind of delay or something like that? So I definitely agree with that. I didn't want to cut you off, Ella Rose. Did you want to say anything any else? Okay.
No, that was about it.
I
Okay.
wanted to ask Ella Rose a question real quick. Is your tea powder or liquid?
It's liquid. It's
Okay.
bottled tea.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's heavy.
So, with that, I've kind of asked about maybe challenges and everything, maybe ways you had to pivot. But what is like one of the most rewarding things about business entrepreneurship? What really keeps you going? What do you find rewarding? And whoever wants to go first, just jump right in.
I'll go.
Mhm.
We both, I'm looking at her, she probably looking at me, but we from this virtual setting. Uh, well, I'm passionate about it. As I mentioned earlier, I have a heart for my community, for the well-being and optimizing the health status of people, particularly Black women. And I have a heart of servanthood, and this is a way that just feels very good to me to serve. So that's what keeps me going. It's a passion because it's a lot of work. And so when, you know, when I feel tired and things like that, it's the passion that's pushing. It's the passion that's pushing. When I'm over some things, it's the passion that's pushing. And also, Tia mentioned earlier having a good support system. Everybody is not into tea. Everybody do not drink hibiscus tea. All my friends don't like that, but they're all buying it. They're all sharing my posts, and they're there to help me to hold my vision sometimes when something happened, when the licensing or whatever. So, this is a little off topic, but the having that support system is so important. But for me, it's just passion. It's a passion for me. It's a way to serve, and it's delicious. Like I'm a foodie. I'm food adventurous. I want to taste some things. I want to eat some things.
Yes.
So that's what it is for me. The passion of it.
Um, it's more than moments like this where I'm able to meet like-minded individuals, where I'm able to see the kids come in or the adults, the joy that it brings people when they laugh or when they're smiling. I would say in this season, to see people when they come in and they're excited, like, oh my God, we're here. Um, to really realize that like that one gift, that one vision that God gave you can actually really bless others, and you don't know how you're blessing others. And when you feel like, okay, this is crazy, but then every time when you think, am I doing the right thing? And you get that like nudge on the shoulder from the Lord, or a little gift or a little nugget, or something does go in your favor, those things mean a lot to me. Support is vital. You got to have a good support team. You got to have people that stand in the paint, that push you, that share you, um, and that you're okay with everything that comes. I receive everything, good or bad, because it's a learning lesson. But everything that was bad, I have learned 10 times over, you know, and I appreciate them now, not at the moment, but now I can say, okay, I appreciate that lesson. Um, but I would never tell nobody to give up. I would never tell you to give up. I would tell you maybe reshift your thinking, or think about another way to create some more money. Or even if, and no one wants to say this, it may mean you have to pick up a part time, and still follow your dream. Like whatever you have to do to make it, that you know that's what you're supposed to do, just don't give up. Don't give up, because we're always closer to the end, or to that next step, than we think.
Wow, thank you. That's good. I hear from both of you. It's definitely emerging your passion with business, and that's really good to hear. It seems like that passion is what keeps you moving when you face adversity or different challenges. So
Mhm.
thank you for that. So it's just about two more questions. The next question is about money, money, money. So what kind of tips, or do you have anything that you could suggest, or maybe think involves a startup revenue or money or financing your business? Um, any expectations, anything you can speak to the money of it all? We kind of highlighted it talking about how, you might not see the grants or, other kind of assistance, but what do you recommend when it comes in terms of money or funding for your business?
Um, hmm. So this was an interesting question. I'm bootstrapping. Uh, so I don't know that I have the answer to this. But I will say that networking and networking and tapping those resources that we mentioned earlier may lead to ways for you to finance your business, or find, products, ingredients, supplies in a cheaper way. So when you network, you get to see, well, what kind of packaging did you get, or what company did you get? So you may get resources on, or advice on where you can go to get things maybe a little cheaper, more in your range of affordability at that time. If you can start with some money, that's great. However you got that, whether it's because of your 9 to 5, you're working, or if your friends are investing in it. Um, and also, I guess really for me, the answer is networking in a sense. And I'm not the best networker. I am pretty much an introvert, but I received assistance from like my high school alumni association that was completely humbling. And I was, you know, overflowing with gratitude when that happened. Because our group just decided, hey, we're gonna support our businesses through this pandemic every Friday. Shout out your business, and we gonna, put your cash up there and all of that. So you never know um, where financing can come uh, in your different circles, and different groups, and resources and opportunities. And so maybe you can't necessarily afford to talk to an accountant right now, or a business lawyer or something like that, but you happen to be in a group where those people are, and you get some very valuable, worth money advice, consultation. That's excellent, and it happens. And so being
Mhm.
grateful for that when it does happen, make sure you express that gratitude, because, time is money. People's
Mhm.
expertise and everything, you shouldn't expect anything for free. But when you're building that rapport and relationship with people, you get those nuggets and you get those gems to push you, to keep you on your track. and to fund your business?
I'm probably the worst person to come at this question too. I worked to get everything for me. Um,
That's good to know too.
um, I'm trying to think of the right way to answer the question. I, so I, how do I answer it the way I want? I'm trying not to answer it the way I want to answer it. I did it. I worked. I worked hard. I have a big issue with sometimes taking certain things from certain places because I don't want someone to hold that over my head.
Mm.
That's me. So I'm very big on being the lender and not the borrower, the head and not the tail.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very big on that. So I've seen certain things where certain funding streams have come in and then it's cost that owner or someone something in the end. So for me, I just move a little bit differently. And I wanted to make sure that I was able to have in my operations and do certain things the proper way without having someone else have a in and out of it. But I work. And I understood that. That's me. I am not knocking anything that anyone else gets because I think that is a blessing. I think that your network is vital. If you do have people that will sow into it, again, have your paperwork together and be very mindful about that. If it's a grant or whatever organization that you can receive, make sure that it's not going to cost you where you are focusing so much on that grant that you lose sight on what your business was originally created for.
Mm.
And that if they take that funding stream from you, you didn't lose your business. I've seen a lot of people who have gotten grants, and as soon as they say we're no longer allocating this money this year, that business goes under because they didn't create other streams of income in that business. For me, I think that funding is a very, 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 very tricky word. I understand my DUNS number. I understand my business credit. I understand how to leverage that. I've also learned the credit game on your personal and in your business life. That was a lot of things that I definitely had to learn, and finagling that to be able to be sustainable. I think that one of the things that I do challenge us as business owners or even our localities is to really start to explain business credit and how that can help businesses. And from the first day that we get incorporated, also going for our DUNS number and how to get these trade lines and things that we actually utilize right now. And we're ordering, having a trade line versus just paying the invoice, but creating an account so that you're able to then apply for something and it doesn't have to affect your personal credit. We do not talk about the sustainability of our businesses, and we don't talk about the financial blueprint in which we need for our businesses to be able to function. So oftentimes we don't understand the difference between owing and then having a great write-off versus it might hurt for me to owe the state, but when I need to get something, they see that I make profit and I'm able to make other moves. So I do feel like we need to really change the narrative on our finances all the way across the board, because what I see, this is me, that we are very quick to ask for a handout versus understanding what we need to do to really be sustainable. And I'm not talking about everyone. I'm just saying that I see a lot of people ask me all the time, what grant did you get? I didn't get a grant. There is no grant. And I had to work for this. So it's also really, really building and teaching financial literacy across the board. And I think that's something that businesses need to have. Like, you need to explain what is a DUNS number, how to get your business credit, how to get your business checking account, the benefits of your business checking account, what is a business credit card, where does it report to? All of those different things, those are conversations that we don't have in our communities. We don't have them. We have certain vehicles. Those vehicles are in the business name. How do you do that? How do you go about that? And funding is such a tricky thing because you're able to use that as leverage later. And so it's just really managing that.
Ooh, that was good stuff. See, I think you gave me some ideas for some future programming too. So that's good, but definitely you triggered some things in my brain for programming, and I definitely think for people who are looking to open up a business that they know those things. All right. So, any other additional thoughts before we begin to wrap up? Anything you want to add? Any other advice or anything you wanted to expound on? Yay, nay. It's not Olive. Sorry.
Well, I do want to, Ella Rose, I want to, you can tell me your link. I want to support you. So please let me know. I will order today.
Yeah. Awesome. Well,
So
how about we
yeah.
do that for everybody? So, if you don't mind giving the last ditch talk about your business, your links, how people can connect with you for everyone, that would be helpful. And I guess we'll start with Ella Rose.
Okay. And thank you, Carrie Ann, again for um, thinking of me and having me on here. And it's been a pleasure to get to know you and Tia. So I have a website, jleasetea.com. That's JELISETEA.com. And I'm also on social media, Instagram and Facebook at jleasetea. And again, I have three flavors: hibiscus, sweet, and unsweet. And then I have a white tea with lemon balm and pineapple called Royalty. And I got, a couple of things in the mix. So be looking for some new newness, new flavor sometime soon. But again, just want to express some gratitude for being here and for you ladies, and wishing you and praying for you and wishing you wellness.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
On your page now. I love it. Love, love, love. Um,
Thank you. I just followed you on IG. Like, let me get
oh, thank
the
you. It says
popcorn.
make popcorn back DC. Make sure it says DC.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
got
Okay.
Mhm.
So we are on Popcorn Bag DC. If it does not say DC, it ain't us.
Mhm.
Um, you can go to our website, www.thepopcornbagdc. Thank you, Corianne. Thank you, Ella Rose. This was amazing, good conversation. I pray nothing but blessings and prosperity to both of you in this season and beyond. We are definitely, with Popcorn Bag DC, we are definitely up to lots of stuff will be popping off, especially come March and beyond. So there's a couple of announcements that will be made over the next few weeks. And for the other businesses, the new medical urgent care will be opening in about 4 weeks. So I'm excited for everything that is going on. But I thank you so much for this opportunity.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I officially want to thank you all as well. Ella Rose Preston, Jay Elise
Mm.
T, Tia Hill, the Popcorn Bag DC. Please go out and support these Black women business owners and entrepreneurs. Share, like, follow all of that good stuff on Instagram and social media. This is a great time, and the craziness of it all is to be mindful and be well and sip some tea and to just enjoy yourself and eat some popcorn. So please check out these Prince George's Proud businesses out. Also, I just want to highlight some of the different business resources that the library has to offer for free. So, before you think about spending the tons of money, know that we have a couple of online resources to help you out. We have Business Source Complete by EBSCO. It's almost 3,000 scholarly business journals, management and economic journals. Non-journal content includes company profiles, country reports, industry reports, market research reports, and SWOT analysis. We have Gale legal forms for Maryland, District of Columbia, and Virginia. These are your federal legal forms for your wills, name changes, contracts. If you want to look over stuff and see templates for different things, you can do so on that. We have Merchant Archives, which is a vast archive of corporate and industry related documents. And we also have LinkedIn Learning if you are looking to learn different skills to add from management to digital and things of that nature. So please be sure to check out the library's free, I'll say it again, free resource. So once again, thank you to our guests. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and be sure to check out our page for more virtual events and more online resources. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you.